Hello everyone, my name is Ethan Yorke, and today we are going to be doing a review of MLB 16, The Show. Now, I'm going to be breaking down this review into a couple of categories. Each one focuses on a specific mode in the game: Road to the Show, Franchise Season Mode, and Diamond Dynasty. But before I get into those big aspects of the game, I just want to touch on a couple of minor things that you can't really pinpoint into any specific area of the game. First thing I want to touch on is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is actually pretty solid. Most of the time, I'm a little, disappointed in the soundtrack of MLB The Show games, not only because they're super short, but just the music doesn't interest me. This time, it's still short, it's still a very small soundtrack, but it's solid. I wish they would kind of just stick to one genre and have it flow across the entire game, but there's a whole wide array of genres. I think there's probably maybe 10, 12 songs. I haven't looked at the soundtrack list, I just hear the songs and know that it's a pretty short list because I've heard each song 3 or 4 times with the 16 or so hours that I put into this game since Monday. Staying on the topic of sounds, Sounds of the Show is back from PS3. You can now import your own music into your PS4 and have it play through the menu screens, and you can actually assign it to home run celebrations and walk-up music for any player, not just your Road to the Show player. This is a great feature. However, I feel like they messed up a little bit on the volume aspect of your imported music. The music that is currently in the game for home run celebrations and walk-up music is very loud, very audible. You can have crowd volume up, announcer volume up, everything up all the way, and you will always hear your home run celebration music and your walk-up celebration music when that is the music that the show has put into their game. When you import music, it is completely inaudible when you have crowd volume up, and it is still very hard to hear when you have crowd volume almost all the way down. So for me personally, I'm going to go into a software on my computer and just up the volume of my tracks because I want to hear them. But some people don't want to be faced with that inconvenience, so I wish there was just a way to alter the volume just a little bit for imported songs, because the songs I'm putting in, they're not like quiet songs. It's not like I'm slapping Enya on MLB 16 The Show. They're very loud songs. It's just it's very hard to hear over the crowd and stuff like that. And my Road to the Show player, that I have for home run and walk-up music celebrations where I have imported music, he's not even in a big stadium. He's in Tampa Bay, and there's like nobody there. So I barely have any crowd volume whatsoever, and I still can't hear my walk-up. So just little things like that. Now let's jump into the 3 modes, and we're going to start off with Road to the Show. Road to the Show is, in case you don't know, it's basically a My Player mode. You start off as a struggling minor leaguer and work your way up to the major leagues. Now, this game was advertised as having a revamped, personalized Road to the Show experience. Yes, the title they use on the back of the cover is Revamped Road to the Show, a new player perk system and more personal, curated journey throughout your career makes this the most personalized Road to the Show yet. Now, I'll be honest, the perks are kind of cool. I guess I don't use them at all. I'd rather use the Showtime, which we'll touch on later, but the more personalized experience, I don't really buy into that. There's just a couple of presentation editions that they put in there, and they don't ever happen for me. You're supposed to get one, I believe, according to the streams that I watched before the game was released, is that you're supposed to get one when you get called up to AA, when you get called up to AAA, when you get called up to the major leagues. It's supposed to be a big deal when you hit your first major league home run, stuff like that. But so far, I got one cutscene for getting promoted to AA. I did not get a cutscene for going up to AAA, and I did not get one for getting called up to the major leagues, and I also did not get any commentary editions for hitting my first major league home run. Normally, they're pretty on point with stuff like that, but this year it seems to be hit or miss. I'm sure it's something that could be addressed in a software update. I have massive respect for the guys down at San Diego studio, the Sony San Diego studio, so I'm sure that they'll get on this as soon as possible. It's just in the early stages of this game, it seems like a lot of the things they're advertising aren't really happening the way they're supposed. Another issue that I have with Road to the Show, and I guess the whole game in general, but it's more focused on in Road to the Show, is that there are no new universal home run swings, and there are also no new hairstyles that you could put on your Road to the Show guy. Now we'll touch on the minor part first, and we'll talk about the hairstyles. hair in the MLB has become something, it's almost like a piece of clothing that these players are wearing to advertise their personality. Hair is a huge deal in the MLB. You got guys like Bryce Harper, Chris Archer, Josh Donaldson, and Marcus Stroman. They all have crazy hairdos, and people who play MLB The Show, you know, they make their Road to the Show player because, you know, they want to be just like their favorite player or whatever. Now, the only way to get their hairstyles is to model your player after them. But say maybe you don't want to play the same position as them, you know, whatever it may be, I think that there should be more hairstyles in Road to the Show to create a more custom experience, more extreme hairstyles. People like going extreme, especially in a video game. Like, let's be honest, it's a video game. We want crazy hairstyles, we want crazy beards, we want all kinds of crazy stuff. So I think that they left out on that department pretty heavily. Also, the no new Universal home run animations is also incredibly disappointing to me. And I've tried to explain this to a couple people and they've had difficulty understanding what I mean, so let me try to break this down as easy as I can. For every batting stance that's in MLB 16 The Show, or every MLB game for that matter, there's a batting stance, and then when you go down to home run animation, there's default, and then there's about 6 more that you can choose from, and those 6 you can have with any batting stance in the entire game as long as they are the same, like they have the same, there's the same handedness as you, if that makes any sense. Now, the game pushed very hard before it came out that there are 200 home run animations, stuff like that, but the Universal home run animations that go with every batting stance are the same from last year, meaning that the 200 total that they advertised are batting stance specific, which is a little disappointed to me because, you know, there are a couple bat flips out there in the MLB that I really like. Josh Donaldson's bat flip I like, Jose Bautista's bat flip I like, you know, stuff like that. I don't want to have to select their batting stance just to get that home run animation. I think that maybe for 17 The Show, for the home run animation, it should have a menu similar to the batting stance. It's like, here are all the bat flips that we have for right-handed hitters. Go ahead and choose whichever one you want. I think that would be really cool, but for the meantime, we are stuck with the same 6 default for right-handers and same default for left-handers, and same for two-handedness and one-handedness as we had from last year. A little disappointing, especially since they advertised so heavily that there were more, but I'll get over it. And the reason I'm going to get over it is because Showtime in Road to the Show is one of the coolest things they've added in a long time. It's a little gimmicky at fielding. You know, it's slow motion for every single throw as an infielder. I don't know how it is as an outfielder because I don't play outfield, but you could turn it off, right, for fielding, but then you don't get the slow motion opportunities for diving plays, which is really disappointing. So I deal with the gimmickiness of every throw being slow motion and just to get those cool diving plays. It's a little glitchy. Like I posted on my channel before, I've literally Superman dove across the entire infield when I was in the middle of slow motion, and it was really weird. I'll link that video below. And I've also had one where I've taken a ball being fed to me by the shortstop, and then when I went to jump to throw it to first, my ankle flipped upside down and then decided to go hyperextend all over the place. That was a little weird, but it's just minor glitches. Like I said before, Sony San Diego Studio is on top of that kind of stuff, and I'm sure they'll fix these little bugs within the coming weeks. Showtime hitting is really fun, especially as a minor leaguer, because as a minor leaguer, you get cheese balls, and you sit there, slow motion, wait on some 80 mile-an-hour fastball, and then you just dick that thing to left field. It's honestly one of the coolest experiences I've had playing Road to the Show. But it also creates frustrating opportunities, because you will be playing and you're in a clutch situation and you use Showtime and you say you use directional hitting. You time it well and you foul it off or you pop it up or something like that because of the algorithm they have with, oh, sometimes just because you're timing it well doesn't mean you're going to hit it well. I can understand, but I'm not going to play on zone. That's too much effort. I'm just trying to hit freaking taters. But overall, Showtime makes Road to the Show a much better experience. I just wish a Road to the Show wasn't so glitchy. There's a lot of commentary issues. Like I said, there's a lot of issues with, you know, my foot being turned upside down and stuff like that. But overall, I enjoy Road to the Show, and I'm going to keep playing it. The next mode we're going to touch on is Franchise and Season. Now, they haven't changed much, but what they have changed in Franchise is that there's now a more in-depth financial chart, which really helps you, make things more realistic. You have so many more things to deal with on a financial level. It's not quite to the level of the manager mode of the NFL games where you have to deal with ticket prices and stuff like that, but it's getting there, and I think in the coming years we are going to have a much more in-depth franchise mode. But overall, franchise is still very in-depth, very fun, and it's crazy the amount of detail you can go into playing franchise mode. And the last mode, and arguably the biggest mode that they spent the most time on, is Diamond Dynasty. It is very fun now that it is 3 innings, let me just tell you that right now. Playing a 9-inning game takes a long time. I have a very, very short attention span, and normally if I'm not thoroughly entertained, I just get really agitated, and that's why I never really liked playing Diamond Dynasty. But now, Conquest and Battle Royale are both 3 innings. Conquest is the greatest thing they've come up with in a long time. I could just play Diamond Dynasty with my custom-made uniforms, which is my favorite part of Diamond Dynasty, but I'm alone in that category. But it's a good time. The 3 innings cuts down on the time, and it makes every single pitch important in a Diamond Dynasty game. Starters get tired after about 19-20 pitches. Relief pitchers get tired after about 3 or 4. So you have to make sure that you're throwing every pitch where you need to, and you need to make sure that you are working the count. Because if you get the starter out there, if you get him out of the game in the first inning, or you make him throw 30 pitches in the first inning, then he's going to have to go through your opponent, meaning he's going to have to go through 2 pitchers, maybe even 3 pitchers an inning from there on out. And we all know the further you get in the bullpen, the worse guys get, and the better chance you're going to have getting a meatball and ending the game. So Diamond Dynasty being 3 innings now is huge. Also, there are so many different cards that you can unlock. There's so many possibilities to have an incredibly stacked Diamond Dynasty team. There are prime cards, rookie cards, legend cards, throwback cards, prime cards, postseason flashback cards. I have 2 Jason Haywards on my Diamond Dynasty team. I don't care. Their overalls are like different by 5 points, but they're both solid players, so I keep them on my team. And I've never been involved in Diamond Dynasty all that often, but I am thoroughly enjoying it this year. There are no new logos in the logo editing vault, which is a little disappointing for me because my biggest I get the most enjoyment out of making uniforms. I really wanted to make my school's uniform, but it's so hard trying to make actual logos. I know there's a ton of guys at the studio down in San Diego who do a really good job at making logos with the equipment, or with the resources that are provided in the logo vault, but it is so difficult to do. But I wish they would have added a little more shapes and stuff like that in the logo vault, but I like that there is a community logo vault where you could just get other people's stuff, and there's little preview boxes so you know what you're getting before you download it. That is huge. But overall, Diamond Dynasty is very good, and it almost makes up for some of the minor errors that I'm finding in other modes, such as Road to the Show. So overall, I'm going to go ahead and give this game an 8. I was thinking like a 6.5, 7 before I played Diamond Dynasty, but Diamond Dynasty really, really does make up for some of the things that I have an issue with in other modes, especially Road to the Show, because that's my favorite mode. But overall, I mentioned in my first impressions that this would be the year to skip. For me personally, if you're a Road to the Show strictly player, this is probably the year to skip. There's just not enough new content to warrant a $60 purchase. Showtime is cool, but is slow motion worth $60? That's up for you to decide. For me personally, it's not. But I bought the MVP edition. I got my Diamond Dynasty team is actually pretty stacked. Because of all the card packs. So I enjoy the game because Diamond Dynasty is fun. I have a season mode with my high school varsity team on it with all the names and faces, which took forever to make. But season's entertaining, Road to the Show is entertaining, Diamond Dynasty is entertaining. And really, I just have fun with MLB The Show in general. So let me know what you guys enjoy and don't enjoy about MLB 16 The Show down in the comments section below. I will be doing an MLB 17 The Show wish list later on in the week. I have to go to the park to record some stuff. It's going to be a pretty interesting video for those of you who are a fan of baseball. So I hope you guys like it. If you did like it, please like it. If you dislike it, please dislike it. And if you really like it, add it to your favorites. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter @EthanYorkeSays. Follow me on Instagram @EthanYorke. And hopefully you guys have a wonderful day.